Hi, my name is Michaela. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things books. And today we have such an exciting video because we're going to be talking about my favourite author, Mr. John MARRS. And we're going to be rating and ranking every single book John MARRS currently has published, including the one that's coming out in March. There's 13 in total, so without further ado, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being here, and let's get into it. I just want to say that I don't dislike any of these books, but this is a rating video, so one book has got to come last, and that is The Minders by John MARRS. If you're not familiar with John MARRS's books, John MARRS writes two different types of thrillers. He writes your standard psychological thrillers, and he also writes, they get categorised as sci-fi. I wouldn't personally call them sci-fi. Speculative fiction, speculative thrillers, and The Minders falls into that category. The best way I could describe it is if you've ever seen Black Mirror on Netflix or near future, things that could possibly become a reality, they fall under that category, and they're actually my favourite type of books that John MARRS writes, but unfortunately this is coming in 13th place. In this book, 5 people have had the government secrets implanted into their brain, so enemy countries can't try and hack our systems and get our secrets. Nobody knows who these 5 people are, and they're just running around with the government secrets. I really liked the concept of this, but unfortunately, I didn't love it. But I still gave it 3 stars, so definitely not a bad book. In 12th place, we've got Her Last Move. Now, I think this is John MARRS's only police procedural thriller book that he's done, but it has still got a little John MARRS twist, as one of the detectives in this is a super recognizer. Now, I didn't know this was a real thing, but it's a real thing. And it's basically people who have like extreme photographic memories, and once they see a face, like they never forget it. It's implanted into their brain. And I didn't know that was a real thing. So in this, we follow 2 detectives as they're trying to catch a serial killer their crimes are getting more and more severe and the body count is going up and up, and they need to catch him before he kills too many people. We read this for my book club, and a lot of people actually really liked this book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I still enjoyed it, but I know so many people absolutely love this book. And if you like police procedural books, you might too. Even though this has got the super recognizer detective, it still falls under the standard psychological thrillers. And actually, all of John MARRS's psychological thrillers, not the near future ones, are all on Kindle Unlimited as well. And most of them come with the audio, I want to say as well, which I love when Kindle Unlimited does that. In 11th place, we've got When You Disappeared. Now, disclaimer, I actually don't think it's the book's fault that this is in 11th place because I can't actually fully remember it. I'm going by my Goodreads rating, which is 3.5 stars. One thing I do remember about this book is I absolutely hated the main character. Oh my god, I absolutely despised him. One thing John MARRS is absolutely incredible at is writing the most unlikable characters to ever exist, whether that be is typically females, to be honest, but males as well. And wow, he knows how to make you hate a character. In When You Disappeared, we follow a wife whose husband has gone missing. She's got no idea where he's gone. He's literally missing. And we then get his point of view and find out what he's been up to. And then he comes back 25 years later and shit goes down. I enjoyed this book. I didn't think it was anything amazing. I just remember hating that main character. In 10th place, we've got The Vacation, which is, you need to read this on a beach. That is my one regret with this book, is that I wasn't on a beach reading this, because this is such a fun summer thriller. It's set in LA, and we're following 8 people who have checked into a backpacking hostel, and they all have secrets. They're all there for slightly different reasons, and the secrets that get released in this are juicy. It is slightly on the longer side. It's nearly 500 pages long. But like I said, you need to be on a beach with a cocktail reading The Vacation. I also gave this book 3.5 stars. In 9th place, we've got Keep It in the Family, which has the infamous chapter 39, if you know, you know. People have actually gone out and got that chapter tattooed on their body. Like, that is insane. John Marrs writes such good popcorn thrillers. Part of the reason why I love his book so much is his writing is like crack format. You literally can't put it down. I find them so easy to read. You've always got really short chapters, and at the end of each chapter, they're always on cliffhangers, and you just have to keep on reading. And this is just a prime example of that. In this, we meet Mia and Finn, who are a newlywed couple, and they've just bought their dream home to renovate. But as they're renovating, they find "I will save them from the attic" scrawled into the skirting boards. Turns out they've bought a bloody murder house. I mean, do estate agents have to declare that, like, that there's a murder in your house? I think they do in America, because I've seen that in TV programmes. But what about the UK? Let me know in the comments. The best way I can describe this is it's just a fun popcorn thriller. I also gave it 3.5 stars, and it's in 9th place. In 8th place, we have the book with the most unlikable main character I can bet money on that you will ever read. If you've read this book, you know exactly what I'm on about: The Good Samaritan. In this book, we meet Laura. Laura works for a charity hotline, you know, like the Samaritans, where if you need some help, you will call them and you will speak to someone friendly. Unless you get Laura. Laura is convincing people to off themselves. Yes, you heard that right. She's convincing them to off themselves while she's on the phone to them. Obviously, I think that goes without saying. Please check your content warnings before going into this. This is one of the darkest books I've ever read, to be honest. And I'm imagining it can be very triggering for people. But as you're just reading it, you're just thinking, what the actual fuck? It's wild, it's unhinged, but if you can handle it, I'm sure you will have a fun time reading it. And I gave this one 3.5 stars as well. Now, my 7th place is actually most people's favourite, and that is What Lies Between Us. And you know how I just told you about an unhinged woman named Laura? In this, we meet an unhinged woman named Nina. Nina lives with her mum Maggie, and every night they have dinner together, and then every night Nina takes her mother back up to the attic where she is chained up. Honestly, I cannot. I want to be inside John Marrs's brain. I really, really do. So basically, we're figuring out what has Maggie done so wrong to her daughter that has resulted in her being chained up in the attic, and this is just, again, a wild, fun time. Right, we're in the top 6, and from here, every single book is 4 stars or more. And in 6th place, we've got The Passengers. In my opinion, this is John Marrs's most underrated book. Not underrated, because I think it's actually got a really good rating. But when I tell people the premise, they're like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. And I'm like, no, you have to read this book. This is one of the speculative thrillers near future that I referred to at the beginning of the video. And this could so be our reality. It's actually scary. In this world, you can no longer drive your own car. Driverless cars are now the law. Self-driving cars. Think Teslas. But what happens if somebody hacked those cars and started driving 8 people to their deaths? But they've not just hacked them, they're also live streaming it on the internet, where they are letting the general public decide on who lives and who dies. Oh my god, it's honestly so good. I gave this book 4 stars when I read it, but honestly, that was harsh. It definitely deserves more. I should do a reread of it, because a lot of it I can't remember. But you get bits of mixed media in here, you get the headlines, you get polls in there, and yeah, I urge you to read this book. Don't be put off by what I've just told you, if that has at all. I hope it hasn't. But yeah, go read this book. It's so good. And I actually think it's so terrifying, because we have self-driving cars now. What happens? That could happen. In 5th place, we have John Marrs's next release, which comes out on March the 6th, and that is You Killed Me First. This book starts out on bonfire night, and the first chapter is literally a woman waking up and she realizes that she's inside a bonfire. Like, somebody's put her inside and all around her is going up in flames. But like, what did she do to get there? We then go back in time and figure out the events that led up to it. And it's rich people drama. It's just juicy gossip. And I can just tell that John Marrs had the best time writing this book. I would say it's like the least serious of his books. And like Margot, the main character, again, an unlikable woman. But you just can't help but like, I don't know, I kind of liked her. Like, I couldn't help but like think she's not as bad as like Laura, or the one that's got her mum chained up in the attic, put it that way. I've got a final copy of it pre-ordered because this is the advanced copy of it, because not to show off, but me and John Marrs are besties. No, I'm joking. And he sent me a signed copy, which was so lovely of him, saying, "To my favourite Michaela, thanks as ever for your support. Much love, John Marrs." So, I mean, what a guy. But no, I think everyone's going to love this book. It comes out on March the 4th. And like I said, it's a fun, no thoughts, head empty, juicy gossip thriller. In fourth place, we've got The Marriage Act, which again is one of the near future type thrillers because they are just my absolute favourite from John Marrs. In The Marriage Act, the government have decided that if people are married, they are happier and they are healthier. So if you are married, you get access to certain benefits such as NHS Plus, which gets you better healthcare. You get access to better schools and better housing. But there's a catch. You have to have a recording device in your house, like Alexa. And they listen to all of your conversations, like Alexa. And if the government deem that your relationship is in trouble by the conversations that they're listening into, a relationship counsellor has to come around your house and basically give you marriage counselling. And again, what I just love about these books is like they contain like newspaper articles, they contain like posters that would be put up, and I just think it adds like such a fun layer to the books. And to me, these are my version of horror, because I think like this is the sort of stuff that could actually happen. In my opinion, there's a certain order that you need to read these books in, and I'll tell you at the end what order I think you need to read them in. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It's on the chunkier side, but did not feel like it. I love it. Okay, top 3. In third place, we've got The Family Experiment, which is actually John Marrs' newest release. This came out, did it come out in 2024? Either 2024 or 2023. And again, this sits in the same world as The Minders, The Passengers, The Marriage Act. But in this one, couples can no longer afford to have children because the cost of living is so expensive. So instead, companies have started offering virtual reality children, where you can put a headset on, you go into a virtual reality world, and you have your own virtual child. It's like a Tamagotchi, but for kids. And in this book, there's a game show where 8 couples are competing to win their own virtual child. And honestly, it is just wild. You get the same like kind of news articles about it that I showed for The Marriage Act. You get TV transcripts of the TV show, and it was just a fun time. This was a 5-star read for me. Absolutely loved it. In second place is a psychological thriller, and that is The Stranger in Her House. This book will make you feel rage like no other. I have never wanted to throw my book across the room more than I have reading this book. We meet Connie and Gwen. Connie and Gwen are mother and daughter. Gwen sadly has dementia, so a charity have arranged for a man named Paul to come round and help out with handyman type activities. But Connie starts to notice that Paul is trying to worm himself into her mum's life a bit too much. This book will just honestly, it takes a lot for a book to like make me have physical reactions, and this book absolutely did. Yeah, the twists were twisting. It is a popcorn thriller. This is a thriller book done right. It really, really is. If you've read this book, I urge you to read the acknowledgements, or if you haven't read this book, make sure you read the acknowledgements, as it contains something really important that John MARRS references, something that happened in the book. I'm obviously not going to say it because that will spoil it. But if you haven't read this book, read the acknowledgements. If you have read it, go read the acknowledgements. And then that just made it an instant 5-star for me. As soon as I read that, I was like, wow. And then in first place, please can we have a drum roll? I'm sure you've worked it out. And it is The One. This is not just my favourite book by John MARRS. This is one of my favourite thriller books of all time. You've probably heard of this, as it was adapted into a Netflix TV series, which is incredible, right? Like, that's literally every author's dream. But the TV series and the book are completely different. So please, 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 even if you've seen the series, still pick up the book. The TV series just featured like the DNA matching type storyline. It didn't follow the storyline of the book. They are completely different. So this is set in a world where you can take a mouth swab and it will match you to your one true love, your soulmate, whoever that might be. And in this book, we follow 5 couples as they are matched with their soulmates. But what would happen if a serial killer was matched with a police officer? I'm not embarrassed to say that I've read this book 3 times. I absolutely love it. Every storyline is so juicy. Every chapter ends with a cliffhanger. So you just have to keep reading, because then you have to wait till you get back to that person whose cliffhanger you want to know. And it's such a good time. This is perfection in a book. I make everyone read this book, and nobody's told me that they haven't liked it. Maybe they're just too scared. But every person I've told to read this has really liked it. I actually don't think that John MARRS, any book that he writes, will top this. Like, it just holds such a special place in my heart, and I don't know why. Like, I just love the characters. I love, to Michaela, my number 1 reader. John MARRS has got a restraining order against me, no. But this comes with, like, again, the news articles, and so good. So all of these books are set in the same world as each other. And by that I mean they make direct references to each other. So you can definitely read them as standalones. However, this is the order that I think you should read them in. As, for example, the Marriage Act gets mentioned in The Family Experiment, The Passengers gets mentioned, etc. They all refer to each other, and there's all like little Easter eggs. I definitely think you could skip the minders. I don't think that's necessary. But this is the order that I think you should personally read them in. But like I said, if you don't want to commit to that, you can definitely read them as standalones. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Please hit that subscribe button and let me know what your favourite book by John MARRS is.